Okay, welcome to the data science class for IT professionals, medical professionals, people passionate about tech, people trying to transit into analytics, people trying to transit into data science. Now, this is going to be a 5-6 weeks course, and our goal is to get to understand how do we do data science, how do we do analytics. Yes, there's a difference between analytics and data science, so I'll explain that later on. We want to see what are the different kind of tools we can use to do this job, and what are the prospects like. So there are quite a number of tools that you need to have installed. It's going to be a 5-6 weeks program. By second, third week of December, we should be done. This is 20th of November. So it's going to be weekend and one day training. So it's going to be roughly about 2-3 times every week. I will drop the calendar in the mentorship group. Now, you have 3 tools we're going to be using for this training. One is going to be Python. The other is going to be IBM SPSS. Then the last is going to be the Google Data Studio, which is now called the Looker Studio. So these 3 tools give you a good heads up in terms of analyzing data. Who is a data analyst? So it's that guy that wants to make sense out of data. It's that guy that wants to make sense out of that wants to provide information from data, that want to bring out some kind of insight. So if I have data and I cannot make sense out of it, then I'm typically not doing data science. So data science is not about how many tools you can use, but it's whatever the kind of tool you are using, there are quite a number of tools. So this is Anaconda. With Anaconda, you will be able to do Python, you're able to do R. R is a programming language. You're able to use other tools, right? Then with Google Data Studio is a Google tool, which is now called Looker Studio. You're able to provide intelligence, insight, visualize your data, do some charts, some pie charts, some bar charts, some histograms, some maps for your data. Then for SPSS is geared towards people in the academics, people doing surveys, people doing a lot of statistical kind of analysis, right? So that's why it's called Statistical Package for Social Sciences. A few years ago, IBM acquired it.
We can hear you.
Are you hearing me?
The network is...
I can hear you.
Okay, fine. So I'll write on. So it might be your...
Yes,
are you hearing
Hello.
me? Is everyone hearing me?
I can hear you.
Okay, fine, right on.
Yes,
So if you're not hearing me, maybe network issues, try to change your location or try to change your provider. Okay, so I'll write on. Now you have, I talked about SPSS being acquired by IBM. So that was a few years ago. Let's say 10-15 years ago, I would normally use SPSS either 15 or SPSS 16. Now the latest version of SPSS is, I think, SPSS 29 thereabouts. So depending on the version you are using. So I want everybody, yes, version 29. So I want everybody to, at the end of this class, before the next scheduled class, to make sure that you have Anaconda installed. So just go to anaconda.com. It will automatically detect your screen, your operating system, and you download and install it. About 600 and something MB. Now, for Looker Studio, we're going to be creating an account. If you have a Gmail account, that's fine. So you could easily use this tool for free, import your data, analyze your data, and make sense out of your data. Like I said earlier on, if you cannot make insights from your data, if you cannot make decisions from the data you have, then you're not doing analytics. So the goal is, I want to make insight. I want to understand my data. Then for SPSS, you could use the free version also by clicking on Try SPSS Statistics. You need to register an account on the IBM platform. Once you register an account, you fill this form. After filling the form, then you could go back to where to download it. Then you need to sign in and now be able to download the file. Okay, let me see if I can sign in. If I can remember this password. Okay. See? Okay, sorry. Loading. So they also use this one-time password. So let me see whether that's what it's waiting for. It will send you. Okay, it didn't load in. See where it's meant. Okay, good. So I was able to get in. So was it still asking? You're trying to confirm my profile. So you need to register an account on IBM. Once you register an account, that's when you're able to download the free version of the software. I think it spans for roughly about 30 to 45 days thereabout. So to verify your handle, then it will be able to allow you download the software. And then anytime you want to use the software, you will need to log in, right? So it has sent me a code. Let me see. This is just to help against piracy. Let me check my mail so that I can get into the account. Just a moment. Okay, I'll put this. Okay, I've received an email, verify your identity. So I'll just put in the other part of the number. I'll verify. So once you create an account, you can now get to the IBM site and download the software. So I already have this software installed. I just want to put you through the process of downloading the SPSS software. So this is my ID. So with this, I will be able to download the SPSS software, right? So I have an active version of the software, which expires by December 14. So I think I started using it roughly around early this month on this particular system. So I can click this button and tap the download button. Then it will, I think, automatically start downloading. Okay, yes, this is it. If I click on this download button, automatically it downloads to my system. So if you're using a Windows system or using a Mac system, you can actually easily download it. So it's about 887 MB. How many of us have followed me up to this moment? So let me cancel this. How to download the SPSS software. How many of us followed me up to this moment? You can unmute yourself and just speak up. Anyone? Christian, Ifama, Obiora, Olushola. How many of us followed me up to this moment? You saw the steps in.
We can hear you.
Okay, yes, you saw the step in registering the IBM account and downloading the software.
Hello?
Hello, did you follow me? Who else followed me up?
No, we can't hear you.
Okay, I get, who else can hear me?
Olushola, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, fine, good, awesome. Who else can hear me?
Okay, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, good, awesome. So I'll be providing record for this training so that you can also watch it after the program. Now, for Anaconda, you don't need to do any registration. It's an open source software. You just go to anaconda.com, download it, and you have a copy. For Google Data Studio, you just need to have a Gmail account, and you can log in and you can use the.
I can't hear you.
I guess maybe your network, please try to see if you could reconnect or change your ISP and you hear us. Other students are hearing us. So I'll provide recording in case at any point in time you can actually get to us. Okay, so I'll write on. So for Google Data Studio, you will need to sign in to be able to have access to the online platform. So it's a web-based tool you can use to run analysis. So I've talked about 3 tools we're going to be using for the next 5-6 weeks. Anaconda, we're going to be using Anaconda for the purpose of coding in Python. Google Data Studio, you just need to have a Gmail account, is also free. I think they have some paid plugins and whatever, but free will be okay for us to learn all the things we need to learn. Then for SPSS, you will need to register an account before you can download the free version of the software. Okay, having said that, if you visit, I will go through briefly, just a moment. I will go through. I will go through a particular, okay. Let me open a particular material. Now, how many of us understand what it means or what the process for doing data analytics looks like? Okay, Christian, you want to ask a question? Go ahead. Christian, you want to ask a question? You can go ahead. Christian, you want to ask a question? You can go ahead. Okay, I'll write on. So now, if we need to do.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, right on.
I say, hope we can do us a favor. I'm having network challenge here.
Sure, you will get
the thing will just throw me out.
You will get record for the training.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, good. Anybody, any question? Anybody, any question? Okay, so I'll write on. Now, before we write on, there's something we need to understand when it comes to data science, right? So there's what we call the data science process. How many of us can see my screen?
I can see it, sir.
Okay, who else can see my screen?
I can see it, sir.
Okay, fine, good. Let me see who else is on the call. Is Bashir Haruna, can you see my screen? Ifoma, can you see my screen? Ifoma, can you see my screen? Okay, so I will just write on. Now, data science process. So in doing data science, you need to understand end-to-end what the process is like before you start using any kind of tool whatsoever. You need to understand that for you to do data science, the goal is for you to be able to make decisions. That is this end point at the end of the day. So for you to make decisions, you have to first collect data. And even before collecting data, you want to first define your objectives. If you are told now, okay, please, can you conduct a research on so and so, like say the impact of this on this, or comparative analysis of this and this, or can you tell causative factors for this and this, or do you know why this is happening, or what are the reasons for whatever that is happening? Okay, Bashir, can you hear us now? Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, good, right on. So now
yes,
you can be given any particular case study, or a particular problem for you to solve. So that's where the issue starts from. You have to first define that particular objective. And in defining that objective, that's when you can now try to say, how do I get data to try to do some analysis to prove a point or disprove a particular point. That's where obtaining data comes from. So you say gather data from relevant sources, and your data is going to be coming from either primary sources or secondary sources, right? The data is going to be coming from primary sources or secondary sources. So if your data is coming from a primary source, it then means you are the one to get that data. So one of the most common instruments of collecting primary data is by questionnaire, right? So you have a complete record for this 27-page slide that tells you how to get data, how to design your questionnaire, how to standardize it, how to make sure that you don't go through the pitfalls of not making sure that it's now hard for you to analyze your data. So I will drop the link for the entire video for this particular heads up, but I will scan through it before the end of today's class. So questionnaires are one nice way you can gather primary data, because you are going to issue those instruments and people are going to fill it either physically, online, or interview-led. Then another way to obtain data is from secondary sources, right? It then means that the data is not coming from your own website. Your data is not coming from your lab, if you're a healthcare professional. The data is not coming from your software, if you're a mobile app developer or a web developer. The data is not coming from questionnaire, but the data is coming from somewhere else. Maybe existing data that it's not yours, right? So you want to obtain that particular data. I'm going to walk you through how to do that. Then the next stage of the data science process is that you want to clean that data so that you can format it in a way that the machine understands. Now, imagine you collect data and one of the parameters that you are asking for is height. Imagine if you collect height in meters, collect height in centimeters, collect height in inches, collect height in feet. Who can tell me what problem we have there? What problem do we have? Or do we even have any problem?
Yes, we have problem there.
Okay, so what's the issue there?
The issue there is that the data is not uniform, it's not standardized. They are in different units.
So the data is using different units, right? Data is using different units. So your software will not understand that, okay, you have different units. So is that you collect different units and now do conversion, or you make sure that when you're collecting the data, you collect them in same units, right? So you must make sure that you clean whatever data you've collected from these points so that it's uniform. The next thing you want to do is to do some what we call EDA, exploratory data analysis. So in doing exploratory data analysis, you want to do things like charts, bar charts, pie charts, histogram, scatter diagrams, right? You want to do things like mean, you want to know median, you want to do mode, frequency, maximum, minimum, what we call the first quartile, that is 25% of the values, 50% of the values, 75% of the values, and the rest. So you want to better understand the data, because if you don't explore the data, it will be difficult for you to make some kind of insight on the data, right? Then the next thing you do is to try to construct some models. In constructing models, that's where machine learning comes in. So you cannot construct a model if there is no consistency. So in constructing model, what you're looking for is you're looking for if there's a pattern. Are there relationships? Are there trends? Take, for instance, if you say population of Nigeria, right? So you're going to be asking yourself, is there a trend in the population of Nigeria between, let's say, 1960 and 2020 or 2022. See, there's a trend here. Once we can see a trend in our model, it's not be easy for us to forecast and say, okay, by so and so year, there is going to be so and so amount of persons living in Nigeria. For instance, we're checking for prevalence rates, rate of HIV, right? In Nigeria. Right? Prevalence rate. So can we check the prevalence rate of HIV in Nigeria over a space of, let's say, in 20 years, right? Let me open this table. Now, if we get that particular data, can we be able to see some kind of pattern? If we see some pattern, it then means that we're able to do some forecasts on the prevalence rate in the next 20 years, all things being equal. I don't know if there's anybody that's following.
Yes, we are following.
Okay, good. Now, what about you having data such as height and age? You want to see, is there a relationship between the age of the persons you have the data for and their height? Do you want to check, is there a relationship between age and weight? Right? You now create a model. Think about a model as, for instance, if you want to create a stadium, an architect will create a model that is not going to be a replica of the stadium when fully built or the house when fully built. So construct models to predict and forecast. Then, of course, you want to interpret and now write your report. So you call this the OSEM model or data science process. There's different flavors to this for data science. But your goal as an analyst is, how do you get data? How do you clean it? How do you exploit? How do you draw charts, plot all of those stuff, nice stuff? How do you create some kind of models? How do you interpret it and present it? Now you're going to be using tools, things like Google Forms. We're going to learn how to use Google Forms to obtain our data if it's going to be primary data. We're going to be learning how to use Kobo Toolbox. We're going to be learning how to use things like Microsoft Forms. There are different kind of techniques you could use to gather your forms, things like SurveyMonkey. Then we're going to be learning how do we use SPSS or Python, for instance, to kind of clean format our data. We're also going to be learning how do we use Python, SPSS, Looker Studio to explore, draw nice charts of our data. How do we use Python, for instance, to do machine learning? Then how do we interpret whatever our tool or our software is telling us, and how can we present a report? Anybody have a question?
So this it's sounding very interesting, but I think maybe we have if somebody have a lot of problems in the foundation of computer science, he may be facing problems.
Okay, now don't look at it as a problem, because some people feel data science is like I think my kids used to call it when they want to say something is simple, they say, is it easy peasy pie, something of that nature, right? People want to feel, oh, data science is just a walk in the park. No, data science, it's computer science, statistics, mathematics, any field you want to adapt it to. So you can adapt data science to construction, to real estate. You could adapt data science to health. You can adapt data science to what's it called, tech. You can adapt data science to banking, to typically any field. Now, the software part, the computer science part, is where you shouldn't run away from mathematics. The statistics part is where you need to understand basic statistics, which we are going to walk you through. Then your field of study where you want to adapt data science to is something you should be comfortable with. because a health professional is going to use data science analytics. A banker is going to use data science analytics. An IT person is going to do data science analytics, right? Because everybody wants to have data and they want to be able to exploit it. They want to be able to tell the future. For instance, World Bank is going to tell us that, okay, your growth rate for first quarter is 3% based on some parameters. And later on in the year, they now tell you, oh, it's now so percent. That's forecasting. So at the end of the day, everybody wants to have data interpreted. Okay, so I'm going to, in the next section, I'm going to scan through the, what was it called? The questionnaire design, though I have a complete record for it. I'm going to scan through this and provide you access to the material where this has already been recorded. Most of us already have access to this material. If you don't have them, I'll drop them for you. If you don't also have the record for this particular statistical method for questionnaire design, I'll drop that for you. Then what we're going to do is that we're going to explore this. Everybody's going to take home and do a questionnaire. Then when we come in our next class, we're going to see how do we start using SPSS to enter this data and now start doing proper analysis. And I'm going to be posting the calendar for the entire training after this session. So I'm going to stop this session and start it, let's say, after a 5 minutes break. So just join me in the next 3, 4, 5 minutes. Thank you very much.